Mastering Your Shadow, a deep dive into Jungian psychology. This is not just another video. It's a free, no-fluff, no-nonsense course that takes you straight into the heart of Carl Gustav Jung's most powerful psychological concepts. Its purpose is bold and clear: to help you master your shadow and become emotionally unshakable. If you're battling anxiety, depression, guilt, anger, grief, or stuck in patterns of emotional suffering you can't explain, this content is for you. It's especially for those who feel like no matter how hard they try, they can't seem to gain control over their emotions. But a fair warning, this course requires more than just passive viewing. It demands your full presence, your courage, and your willingness to face discomfort, because only on the other side of that discomfort lies emotional freedom. What you will learn in this course. Through this transformative course, you'll gain a clear, practical understanding of the shadow, what it is, how it formed, and how it subtly dictates your emotions, impulses, and behavior. You'll learn why emotional outbursts, like anxiety attacks, unexplained sadness, chronic guilt, and fits of anger, often stem not from the world outside you, but from unresolved conflicts within. This isn't about surface-level affirmations or temporary fixes. It's a deep psychological method, rooted in over a century of Jungian thought, designed to help you confront your inner darkness, integrate it, and finally break free from the patterns that sabotage your peace and power. The shadow, what you've been hiding from yourself. The shadow is the part of yourself you've been taught to hide. Since childhood, you've been conditioned by parents, school, and society to present only the acceptable parts of yourself. You were rewarded for being polite and obedient, and punished for showing anger, sadness, jealousy, or selfishness. Over time, you learn to repress these unacceptable traits. But what happens to those repressed emotions? They don't disappear. They retreat into the unconscious, where they grow in strength and begin to silently shape your reactions, thoughts, and behaviors. This hidden side becomes the shadow, a force that influences you without your awareness. When the shadow takes control, uncontrolled anxiety, depression, explosive anger, and self-sabotage are not random. They are cries from your shadow. These emotions emerge when repressed aspects of your psyche try to break through your conscious control. As Jung wrote, repressed contents do not cease to exist. They become autonomous forces that can invade and dominate consciousness at any moment. That's why many people repeat toxic patterns, ruin relationships, or fail to make progress despite their efforts. Until you confront your shadow, it will continue to rule from the dark. The shadow isn't evil, but it must be faced. It's important to understand that the shadow isn't inherently evil. In fact, it often contains sources of strength, creativity, and authenticity. But if left unacknowledged, it becomes destructive. Emotional resilience comes not from denying your darkness, but from integrating it, recognizing anger, envy, fear, and control as part of the full human experience. Only by bringing these parts into the light of awareness can you stop them from sabotaging your life. You are not just your good side. Most people cling tightly to the version of themselves they show the world, the polite, calm, capable persona. But this mask is not who you truly are. The more you identify with only your light, the more disconnected you become from your whole self, and the more emotionally fragile you become. True power lies in wholeness, not perfection. You must become willing to look at the parts of yourself you've buried, denied, or feared, because only then can you stop being controlled by them. How the persona strengthens the shadow. The persona is the social mask you've developed to fit in and be accepted. While useful in moderation, a rigid persona comes at a steep cost. To maintain this mask, you're forced to suppress large parts of yourself, your fears, desires, emotions, and push them into the shadow. People who seem overly positive, flawless, or controlled on the outside are often battling deep inner chaos. They may struggle with depression, rage, or emptiness when alone. Jung warned that the persona is not only a compromise with society, it is also a form of self-deception. The more you believe your mask, the more disconnected you are from your authentic self, and the more power the shadow gains in secret. Your emotions are not just you. They are your shadow speaking. Most people think they are fully in control of their emotions, but the truth is, if you've never examined your shadow, your emotions are likely being influenced or even dictated by it. That anxiety you feel for no reason, that anger that flares up unexpectedly, that sadness you can't explain, all signs of unresolved inner content trying to be acknowledged. Jung explained it clearly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Recognizing the shadow in daily life. You don't have to search far to find your shadow. It's in your everyday reactions. When you feel an irrational hatred for someone, an outburst of jealousy, or contempt for someone's vulnerability, those are moments when your shadow is revealing itself. You project onto others what you refuse to see in yourself. That coworker who annoys you may mirror a part of yourself you've buried. That sensitivity you mock in others might be the vulnerability you've long suppressed. Dreams can also reveal shadow content, especially those involving fear, loss of control, or mysterious figures. And your body often holds the signs. Chronic tension, fatigue, and pain are often linked to the emotional energy trapped in the unconscious. From awareness to action, your next step. Knowing your shadow is only the beginning. Real change requires practice. That's why the course introduces a practical path, Dialogues with the Unconscious, a 30-day guide to help you integrate your shadow through daily exercises. It's designed for those who want to turn insight into transformation, those who are ready to do the inner work, not just understand it intellectually. If the main video is your map, this guide is your daily companion for the journey. The courage to confront what the shadow reveals. Once you've identified your shadow, the real challenge begins, the confrontation. This stage is not optional. As Jung stated in the Undiscovered Self, individuation, the path to becoming whole, cannot happen without facing the shadow directly. This means accepting that discomfort is part of the process. You can't choose whether the confrontation will happen. You can only choose to do it consciously, or remain unknowingly controlled by it. As you bring hidden aspects of yourself into the light, feelings like guilt, envy, anger, or shame, your first instinct might be to retreat. Many do, but it's here, in the chaos of discomfort, that the real transformation begins. Let's say you feel envy toward a colleague's success. The knee-jerk response is to downplay it. I don't really care. But authentic confrontation means admitting the envy is real, then asking, where does this come from? What unmet need or hidden frustration is this revealing? Or maybe you struggle to set boundaries. On closer examination, you find that fear of rejection and repressed anger from past disrespect are behind it. Confronting this anger, not suppressing it, is the work. The journey often passes through 4 emotional phases. Denial, this isn't me. Resistance, guilt and shame when faced with your darker side. Acceptance, recognizing these parts as legitimate aspects of you. Integration, slowly, they lose their control as you make peace with them. Jung described this process not as a one-time victory, but a lifelong commitment. There's no moment where the shadow is, quote, Eliers, quote, Eliers, quote, egg. Instead, you keep returning to it, dialoguing with it, and gradually reclaiming the parts of yourself you once abandoned. Tools for shadow confrontation, from dreams to daily awareness. So how do you actually confront the shadow in real life? There are tools, both psychological and spiritual, that support this work. Dream analysis. Dreams are messengers of the unconscious. They often reveal what your conscious mind avoids. Reflective writing. Journaling about emotional triggers brings clarity and reduces the shadow's unconscious power. Deep meditation. A space to observe thoughts and emotions without judgment. A window into your inner world. Jungian psychotherapy, professional guidance in navigating this complex terrain. Radical self-honesty, a willingness to look at yourself without filters, excuses, or illusions. But be prepared. As you do this work, something deeper begins to stir. Archetypes. When archetypes awaken, allies and tricksters on the path. As you confront the shadow, ancient forces begin to rise. Not just emotions, but archetypes from the collective unconscious. Jung described these as universal patterns that shape our inner and outer experience. Four in particular often surface during shadow work: the anima, animus, self, and trickster. Anima and animus, the inner other. In men, the anima is the unconscious feminine aspect. In women, the animus is the unconscious masculine. They often appear in dreams, projections, and relationships, playing out the qualities we have repressed. Imagine a man who repeatedly dreams of wise, mysterious, or dangerous women. These are not just fantasies. They're signals from the anima, asking him to reconnect with his own emotional depth and vulnerability. For women, the animus might appear as bold or authoritative male figures, calling them to reclaim power or clarity they've disowned. The self, the center of wholeness. The self is the archetype of total psychic integration, your full potential beyond the ego. When it emerges, a deep inner coherence may be felt, but it's often accompanied by crises. Who am I really? What is my purpose? These aren't breakdowns, they're breakthroughs. The self forces you to reorganize your life around deeper truths, not shallow appearances. The trickster, master of disguise. The trickster is the most cunning of all. Just when you think you've figured yourself out, it shows up to expose your hidden arrogance. You may start to feel superior to others, more aware, more evolved. But this is another trap, that inflated ego. It's the trickster playing dress-up, feeding your shadow a new disguise. The antidote is humility and vigilance. Emotional alchemy, how shadow work builds true strength. Why endure the discomfort of all this? Because the prize is profound. Emotional mastery. Jung said it clearly. No real consciousness is possible without the shadow being brought to light. Take someone with chronic anger issues. Before integration, they lash out or suppress it. After doing the work, they begin to feel the anger without being driven by it. They express it consciously, not explosively. That's power. Or someone paralyzed by social anxiety. Before shadow work, they avoid connection out of fear. But by integrating their inner critic and fear of judgment, they begin to enter social situations with courage and calm. Not because the fear is gone, but because they're no longer ruled by it. As the dissociated parts of you return home, something incredible happens. You stop wasting energy suppressing what's real. You gain clarity, confidence, and a sense of congruence. You become less reactive, more grounded. You develop empathy because you've met your own darkness and no longer need to project it onto others. Jung put it beautifully. The acceptance of the dark side of oneself strengthens the individual. Living with the shadow. Everyday practices for ongoing integration. Shadow work doesn't end with a single breakthrough. It's a daily discipline, a lifetime practice. The goal is not perfection, it's presence. Here's how to stay on the path. Conscious internal dialogue. When intense emotions arise, pause. Ask, what's this trying to tell me? Reflective writing. Journal daily about emotional triggers. This turns pain into insight. Dream journaling. Keep track of symbols and recurring themes. Your psyche is speaking to you. Mindfulness. Learn to sit with feelings without identifying with them. Awareness creates choice. Relational mirrors. Use your reactions to others as clues. What bothers you might live inside you. Healthy boundaries. Learn to say no. Resentment often hides in forced yeses. Persona check-ins ask, what parts of myself am I hiding to protect my image? These practices don't eliminate the shadow, but they loosen its grip. With each cycle, you reclaim more of your authentic power. The point of no return, a life lived in wholeness. There's a truth you must accept. Mastering the shadow is a one-way path. Once you see what lives in your unconscious, the envy, the pride, the fear, you cannot unsee it. The illusion of being just good, of being above all that, crumbles. What replaces it is far more powerful, a human being who embraces their full truth. Jung said, "The shadow compensates for the one-sided attitude of consciousness. Without it, you're off balance, a slave to the very forces you refuse to name." The cost of ignoring the shadow? Chronic anxiety, repeated relationship failures, inner emptiness. But the reward of confronting it is freedom, emotional stability, authentic relationships, a grounded sense of self. This path is not for the faint-hearted. It's for those who choose truth over comfort, who would rather be whole than merely good, who want to live rather than pretend. So now, commit. In the comments, write, "I am willing to face my shadow." This is your symbolic first step, a small action with deep intention. And if this resonated, don't stop here. Watch the next video in the series. The shadow doesn't disappear, but you can become greater than it. Keep going. The journey has only begun.